The ego is an unhealthy belief in our own importance. It's arrogance, self-centered ambition. It's the need to be better than, more than. It's the sense of superiority and certainty that exceeds the bounds of confidence and talent. The egotist's arrogance is mistaken for a sense of power and self-confidence. Ego is the voice that tells we are better than we really are. It inhibits true success by preventing a direct and honest connection to the world around us. Without an accurate accounting of our own abilities compared to others, what we have is not confidence, but delusion. At any given time in life, people find themselves at one of three stages. We are aspiring to something. We have achieved success, or we have failed. We are aspiring until we succeed. We succeed until we fail, or until we aspire to more. And after we fail, we can begin to aspire or succeed again. When you succeed, you need to replace the temptations of ego with humility and discipline, and to cultivate strength and fortitude, so that when fate turns against you, you are not wrecked by failure. In short, it will help you to be humble in your aspirations, gracious in your success, and resilient in your failures. You must practice seeing yourself with a little distance, cultivating the ability to get out of your own head. Detachment is a sort of natural ego antidote. It's easy to be emotionally invested and infatuated with your own work. What is rare is not raw talent, skill, or even confidence, but humility, diligence, and self-awareness. Often we fall in love with an image of what success looks like. The number of stars on your shoulder, your job title, the business school you went to, the number of assistants you have, the location of your parking space, the grants you earn, your access to the CEO, the size of your paycheck, or the number of fans you have can be confused as a proxy for real accomplishment. Having authority is not the same as being an authority. Being promoted doesn't necessarily mean you are doing good work, and it doesn't mean you are worthy of promotion. Impressing people is utterly different from being truly impressive. Ask yourself these questions. What is your purpose? What are you here to do? Purpose helps you answer the question to be or to do. If what matters is you, your reputation, your inclusion, your personal ease of life, your path is clear. Tell people what they want to hear. Seek attention over the quiet but important work. Pay your dues. Check the boxes. Put in your time. And leave things essentially as they are. Chase your fame, your salary, your title, and enjoy them as they come. If your purpose is something larger than you, to accomplish something, to prove something to yourself, then you know what it is you need to do and what is important to you. It's about the doing, not the recognition. What is it that you want to accomplish in life? What principles govern your choices? Do you need this? Or is it really about ego? Do the prizes still glitter off in the distance? We don't like thinking that someone is better than us, or that we have a lot left to learn. We want to be done. We want to be ready. Updating your appraisal of your talents in a downward direction is one of the most difficult things to do in life, but it is a component of mastery. The temptation is to think, I've made it. I have arrived. They trust the other guy because he's not as good as I am. They chose me because I have what it takes. The power of being a student places the ego and ambition in someone else's hands. There is a sort of ego ceiling imposed. You know that you are not better than the master you apprentice under. You defer to them. You subsume yourself. If you always stay a student, you accept that others know more than you, and that you can benefit from their knowledge, and you can knock down the illusions you have about yourself. The act of being an eternal student keeps us humble. You can't learn if you think you already know. You will not find the answers if you are too conceited and self-assured to ask the questions. You cannot get better if you are convinced you are the best. We not only need to take harsh feedback, but actively solicit it. The ego avoids such feedback at all costs. Ego thinks it already knows how and who we are. It thinks we are spectacular, genius, truly innovative. It dislikes reality and prefers its own assessment. Ego is the enemy, giving us wicked feedback disconnected from reality. It's defensive. It blocks us from improving by telling us that we don't need to improve. Then we wonder why we don't get the results we want, why others are better, and why their success is more lasting. Getting angry, getting emotional, losing restraint is a recipe for failure. Your ego will do you no favors here, whether you are struggling with a publisher, with critics, with enemies, or a capricious boss. It doesn't matter that they don't understand, or that you know better. It's too early for that. It's too soon. If you went to college, that doesn't mean the world is yours by right. Even if it was the Ivy League, people are still going to treat you poorly, and they will still yell at you. There will be slights, dismissals, one-sided compromises. All this will make you angry. This will make you want to fight back. This will make you want to say, I am better than this. I deserve more. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how great your connections are, how much money you have. When you want to do something big and important and meaningful, you will be subjected to treatment ranging from indifference to sabotage. Your humiliations will be hard. It will be tough to keep your self-control. Of course, you will want to throw that in other people's faces. When someone doesn't reckon you with the seriousness that you would like, the impulse is to correct them. You want to remind them of what they have forgotten. Your ego screams for you to indulge it. Instead, you must do nothing. Take it. Eat it until you are sick. Endure it. Quietly brush it off. Restraint is a difficult skill, but a crucial one. You will often be tempted. You will probably even be overcome. Remember that it doesn't degrade you when others treat you poorly. It degrades them. It is natural for any young, ambitious person to get excited and swept up by their thoughts and feelings, especially in a world that tells us to keep and promote a personal brand. We are required to tell stories in order to sell our work and our talents. And after enough time, we forget where the line is that separates our fictions from reality. What successful people do is curb such flights of fancy. They ignore the temptations that might make them feel important or skew their perspective. Pride convinces people that they are better than they are. Pride leads to arrogance, and then away from humility and connection with other people. Pride takes a minor accomplishment and makes it feel like a major one. It smiles at our cleverness and genius. It drives a wedge between the possessor and reality. Just because you are quiet doesn't mean that you are without pride. Privately thinking you are better than others is still pride. It's still dangerous. You are not nearly as good or as important as you think you are. Most of what you think you know, or most of what you learned in books or in school, is out of date or wrong. Don't boast. Greatness comes from humble beginnings. It comes from grunt work. It means you are the least important person in the room, until you change that with results. You need to know that for the first couple years that you are making stuff, what you are making isn't so good. It's really not that great. It's trying to be good. It has ambition to be good, but it's not quite that good. Who wants to look at themselves and their work and find that it does not measure up? We need to face our shortcomings honestly and put the time in. We can let this humble us. See clearly where we are talented and where we need to improve, and then put in the work to bridge that gap. Having accomplished something, ego wants us to think, I'm special, I'm better, the rules don't apply to me. Sobriety, open-mindedness, organization, and purpose, these are the great stabilizers. They balance out the ego and pride that comes with achievement and recognition. With accomplishment comes a pressure to pretend that we know more than we do. It takes a special kind of humility to grasp that you know less, even as you know and grasp more and more. Mastery is a fluid, continual process. You can't keep learning if you think you already know everything. Learn from everyone and everything. From the people you beat, and the people who beat you. From the people you dislike, even from your supposed enemies. At every step in life, there is the opportunity to learn. The farther you travel down that path of accomplishment, the more often you meet other successful people who make you feel insignificant. It doesn't matter how well you are doing. Your ego and their accomplishments make you feel like nothing, just as others make them feel the same way. It's a cycle that goes on and on, while our brief time on earth does not. We chase what will not be truly pleasurable. At the very least, it won't last. It's not about beating the other guy. It's not about having more than the others. It's about being what you are, and being as good as possible at it, without succumbing to all the things that draw you away from it. It's accomplishing the most that you are capable of in what you choose. It doesn't make you a bad person to want to be remembered, to want to make it to the top, to provide for yourself and your family. After all, that's all part of the allure. But there is a balance. Sobriety is the counterweight that must balance out success, especially if things keep getting better and better. No more obsessing about your image, treating people beneath you or above you with contempt, needing first-class trappings and the star treatment, raging, fighting, preening, lording over, condescending, and marveling at your own awesomeness or self-anointed importance. At any given moment, there is the chance of failure or setbacks. We have got to understand what led to this moment of difficulty, what went wrong and why. We must deal with the situation in order to move past it. We will need to accept it, and to push through it. We take personally totally indifferent and objective events. We do that when our sense of self is fragile and dependent on life going our way all the time. Whether what you are going through is your fault doesn't matter, because it's yours to deal with right now. Failure always arrives uninvited, but through our ego, far too many of us allow it to stick around. You might not get into your first choice college. You might not get picked for the project, or you might get passed over for the promotion. Someone might outbid you for the job, for your dream house, for the opportunity you feel everything depends on. Everyone experiences failure and adversity. You will face them too. Will your ego betray you when things get difficult? Or can you proceed without it? People make mistakes all the time. They have grand and bold visions that were a little too grandiose. This is all perfectly fine. It's what being an entrepreneur or a creative person is about. We take risks. We mess up. The problem is that when we get our identity tied up in our work, we worry that any kind of failure will then say something bad about us as a person. It's a fear of taking responsibility, of admitting that we might have messed up. It's the sunk cost fallacy. At any given time in the circle of life, we may be aspiring, succeeding, or failing. With wisdom, we understand that these positions are transitory, not statements about your value as a human being. When success begins to slip from your fingers, the response isn't to grip and claw so hard that you shatter it to pieces. It's to understand that you must work yourself back to the aspirational phase, to first principles and best practices. In life, we all get stuck with dead time. Its occurrence isn't in our control. Its use, on the other hand, is. We are aspiring to much more than mere success. What matters is that we can respond to what life throws at us, and how we make it through.